start to get a really good feel. Okay, so Daniel and I are working on the sprawl from an MMA style position. What I mean by MMA position is we're taller. We're in a position where we can utilize our striking and our level changes at the same time. A lot of the sprawls that you'll see happen in wrestling come from a position where hips are already down. And if your hips are already down, you have a lot easier ability to get to the mat, a much quicker time frame. And in wrestling, people have to defeat the other objects of defense: head position and hand position. We need to be good at defending shots that are deep, because that's what's going to happen. People are going to get under your punches and be in on your hips already. So that's the type of reaction that we need to be adept at doing, which is someone has a deep shot on me, a deep double leg or a single leg, and I have to use my last line of defense, which is my hips, to bail me out of that precarious situation. If I do my penetration step, I'm never going to go straight back, because if somebody sprawls straight back here, they're going to stuff my shot. So a really good wrestler is always going to cut the corner here, and when he shoots, he's going to turn to the side, all right? And that helps defeat a backward sprawl, and it puts people off balance to make the legs a little bit easier. So I want to show you what the sprawl looks like without an opponent on me. I have to make sure that I go away from the head, because the person's head who's moving, he wants to drive me away from his head. If his head's on this side of my body, he wants to drive. If it's on this side of my body, he wants to use his head to drive. So I'm always going to turn to face the head and put pressure on the head downward. So the sprawl looks like this. If his head's on my left side, I'm going to swing my whizzer hand, my overhook hand, as an uppercut into his shoulder with a narrow grip. Hips go in at this moment. Hip in, whizzer, drop. I'm not going backwards, I'm going straight down, okay? So if his head hits me on this side, pop the hips, whizzer, and drop. If his head goes on the other side, pop the hips, whizzer, and drop, okay? So I'll show you on Daniel. When Daniel gets in deep on a takedown, go there and freeze. I know that I have to face his head, and I'll show you why. If I turn away from his head, what happens? He's got my back, right? Perfect. I mean, that's the easiest thing to understand. So he's gonna drive in this direction away from his head, so I have to turn to face him here. That's the first step. I haven't sprawled yet. I popped my hips in and threw an uppercut. The next thing is my hips drop to the ground, and I'm gonna square up with him here, okay? So pop, whizzer, uppercut to his shoulder, and feet out. So we'll go a little bit faster when he shoots on me. This position. Now, it's hard to see, but I don't want to get deep like I'm going for a Bravo choke. I want my elbow high up here in my thumb joint in his armpit, so that my shoulder is connecting his shoulder. What he wants to do is get taller. What I want to do is mash him down. Really hard to do that if my shoulder's under his shoulder. But my shoulder's on top of his shoulder, I have a much better mash here, okay? So one of the drills that we want to do is getting good at this reaction. I want you to stand tall, put your arms out like Frankenstein, and he's going to choose a side to go to. When he does, my hips come in and I turn. And the other side of his head goes to the other side. I'm going to pop, hips, shoulder, and turn. That's a really good drill. You get to really good, you can get to the point where you're doing it with no eyes. That's hard to do. You can close your eyes and start to get a really good feel for where he is. That is a great drill to do. So if you have someone that's willing to go with you guys. So once again, hip in, turn toward the head, narrow, but pressure on the whizzer, and kick feet out at an angle.